Each day, more schools jumping into the first day of class for what will no doubt be a year like no other in education. East Syracuse Manoa will have their first day of learning tomorrow. We're happy to have in ESM Superintendent Dr. Donna DeSiato to join us live tonight. I know you're busy on the eve of the first day of learning, but so glad to have you with us tonight, Donna. Thank you.
Great to be here.
So it is not just a strange start to a school year. It was an unheard of end to the last one. So for all these students coming back, where do you start with them? I mean, how much review do you have to do? For instance, you were a fifth grader in the spring, you're a sixth grader. Do you start with some of what you learned in fifth, or do you jump right into sixth grade? How do we get this started?
There's always the anticipation of the excitement of the beginning of the school year, and teachers really are very mindful of first developing the relationship, the feeling, both connectedness and the safety net of we're here, it's the beginning of a school year. We really want students to perform at their optimal, so we need to be able to let them know that one, we care, and certainly we need to demonstrate that, and then to be preparing an environment that really is the beginning of the learning for this school year. We have many ways in which we assess learners where they are relative to the standards. That's really what's most important to us, is where are our learners relative to the standards for that particular curriculum, and then continuing to move on from that. There's always a certain amount of review because we really want to tap into best instruction always begins with beginning to connect to prior learning. So teachers really know that. They're really very expert at that. We begin to tap into that prior learning. That sets the stage for new learning, and then we continue from there.
What's a proper amount of expectation that we should be putting on students and teachers when it comes to this year? Like, for instance, that first marking period, are the grades going to look like normal, or do you kind of adjust those? What does that look like?
No, they will. We put high expectations. What we also, though, want our students to know and our parents to know is that as we begin, and in particularly this year, we really want to start from the lens of both patience and processes that are new that we're learning together. So the health and safety protocols are paramount for us. We really have health and safety protocols we have not had before. We want students to know the protocols and the processes. If they're in distance learning, what can we expect this year that's different from the spring? The schedules will be very clearly outlined. Attendance will be very important. Again, beginning with relationships, setting the expectations for learning, and then communicating and constantly getting the feedback and monitoring where we are. But yes, we will be measuring learning right from the start and providing meaningful feedback throughout the school year, each marking period.
Not to skip too far ahead for you, and hopefully this is a ways down the road, but we learned today from the state that it's going to give each district the flexibility to do a remote learning day on what would normally be what everybody likes to call a snow day, or in some cases it's an emergency day. That's what it's actually really in place for. What's your thoughts on that? Is that something ESM might try?
You know, that's something that's been just sent to us this week. We haven't had a chance to really put that through the lens of exactly what that would mean, but I'm glad that you mentioned, Jeff, those are really emergency closing days. They can happen for a variety of reasons, and certainly one of them happens to be inclement weather. I think that what's most important to any school district is that we have a number of days for which we are required to provide student learning and instruction. So we always want to look at what that means, and there are some years when we have great weather, great circumstances, and everything stays on time and we're in school, and there are other years where we're very challenged by that. So the fact that we have something that we might be able to pilot, we might be able to look at differently through a 21st century lens gives us another opportunity to examine what that means. We haven't had a chance to do that yet, but we certainly will take a look and see what that means to our school district, as I'm sure other school districts will throughout the state.
We will certainly check back with you on that one. I know that one was a little way down the road, but since it just came out and it's a big talker for everybody, I figured I'd throw that one at you. So unfortunately, many more questions. I'm out of time, I'm told, but we're going to have you back. You know you're always welcome here anytime. So best of luck tomorrow with that first day of instruction as we go forward. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Donna DeSiato from ESM.
For all of our students to be online first thing tomorrow morning and welcome them back, open hearts, open minds, and wanting them to know that we're ready.
Beautiful. Now, to find your school district's reopening plan, very easy. Head over to localsyr.com, click on our interactive map, and then you can check out the information and more right on News Channel 9 app.